Hello, hello, and welcome. Come on in and join us. Well, that number's going up fast. That's quick. Hello, man, there's a lot of you guys. Come on in, join us. We are very excited to have you. If you will do me a favor as you're coming into this wonderful space, go ahead and share with us in the chat where you're joining us from. Hello, Nina, nice to have you. Share with us in the chat where you're joining us from today. Georgia's in the house. We're so excited to have all of you all here. Baytown, Texas, hello. San Diego, Arizona. Snohomish, I don't know what that is. Snohomish, Washington. That's nice. Okay. Reno, Nevada, right around the corner from me. I'm out here in Las Vegas. Silver Springs, Maryland. Hello, Erica. Orlando, Florida. Palm Springs. If you're joining us, come on in, join us and let us know where you're joining us from. So thankful that you guys are here to join us today for this wonderful webinar. Palm Springs, California in the house. Bel Air, Maryland. Alberta, Canada. Hello, Alberta, Canada. Baton Rouge. London, UK. What's up? That's awesome. I used to live out there. Not in London. I lived in the Norwich area. Charlotte, that's where I was from. Melissa with She Should Run in New Jersey outside Philly. Hey, Melissa. Minnesota, listening from Nevada. Okay, are you out here vacationing, Mindy? Hanging out with us? Toronto, Davenport. Man, come on in here. This is great. Come join us, come on in. I'll take a few minutes to let everybody get situated. We're so excited to have you here. We got Ohio in the house. DC, come through. Dearborn Heights, Michigan, near Detroit. Okay. Rachel said, I'm near Detroit, just so you know, just in case y'all didn't know where that's at. Near Detroit. Kansas, Milwaukee, West Palm Beach. I got some family down there. Great. Palm Desert, California. Man, it's a lot of you guys. Come on in here. Lexington, Kentucky is so great. I don't think I'm so far. Wait a minute. There's a lot of, and I'm scrolling through my thing too. Hold on now. Iowa. Wow. Man, there's a lot of people in here. This is awesome. Awesome. So good to have you all joining us today. Hello from New Jersey, Oregon. I'm going to give us just a few seconds to keep letting people funnel in. This is awesome. San Francisco, California. All right. And just so you all know, and I'll give some housekeeping, but we do have captions happening today. Thank you, Sarah. We're happy to have you here. Thank you, Sarah Beth. We appreciate you. So we're gonna get started. I think we're right about slowing down here, and people are starting to get settled. So wherever you're joining us from, please allow me to say thank you for being here. This is so exciting to have us all here to talk about this wonderful conversation on criticism and rejection today. I think we're all going to learn a lot, and I'm excited to share. We have a wonderful guest speaker that's joining us today, and She Should Run has just put a lot of time and effort into making sure that you all are going to have a great experience for the next hour. So wherever you're joining us from, if you got coffee because it's the morning, or you got your lunch, your brunch, your dinner, your breakfast, whatever it is, get settled and let's learn together and grow together. So here we go. I'm going to go ahead and get us started. We're about 4 minutes in. Just a couple of reminders as we jump in. Somebody asked, will the webinar be recorded? Absolutely. This session is being recorded, and closed captioning is available in the CC box at the bottom of your screen. You're also welcome to use the chat to participate in the conversation throughout the webinar, just like you are doing today. And right now, by telling us where you're from. Catherine from Pensacola, Florida. Interesting fact, that's my mommy. She's so supportive. Thank you, mommy. And use the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen when asking questions for Anita Malik as we go into the Q&A time towards the end. And then also, folks, the reason that we continue to do this, and we can continue to do this, is because we get your feedback from the wonderful surveys that we present. And what we do is go and craft these programs and webinars for you all. So please make sure at the end that you take part in the survey that we'll send to you. Let's jump right on in. I am Michonne Montgomery. I am the Director of Programs from She Should Run, and I'm very excited to be the facilitator for today's webinar. We have some cool stuff planned that we're going to discuss and talk about to help us grow together when it comes to the topics of rejection and criticism and how we can get through that on that road to office. So thank you for joining me. Just a little bit about She Should Run so that you guys know. If you've never joined us before, I want to give you a little bit about who we are. And if this is your You're coming back and you've been a part of the community. Thank you. Tell a friend, phone a friend, and bring them with you. So She Should Run was founded in 2011, and we're a nonpartisan, nonprofit 501c3 organization. And what we do is encourage women from all walks of life to see what's possible for their leadership in elected office. And through culture shifts, efforts, and the support of She Should Run's community, which I hope you all will join today, we help women fit in the picture and show that no matter where you came from or what you look like, your unique perspective is needed in government. All right. And what we do is we help women see their leadership potential and build their skill set. And we make the case to men and women who have no interest in running that we cannot do this alone. So each and every one of us stands to benefit from having diverse perspectives in government, and it will take all of us to see that vision come to life. And that's what She Should Run is all about. Right? We want to see 250,000 women in office by 2030. And this is one of the ways we do it. We go out and we educate. So again, I thank you for being here, and let's jump on in. What are we going to talk about? The first half of this webinar, we're going to look at what rejection and criticism is and why it hurts. And then we're going to look at how we move from rejection to resilience. That's awesome. And then I'm going to give you a beautiful skill that you can take with you today and start applying to start working on changing that mindset from rejection to resilience. And then we're going to have a conversation with our wonderful guest speaker, Anita Malik. So I like to start things off with a quote. If you don't know me, you're going to get to know me. We like quotes. I like quotes. And this is one from attorney, author, former First Lady Michelle Obama. And she said, failure is an important part of your growth and developing resilience. Don't be afraid to fail. And it's going to be a running theme for me, right? When it comes to failure, changing that narrative about it. So hopefully that got you set in and ready to receive everything that's coming. And just in case you were out there, you're moving about, whatever it is that you're doing, I hope that you are in the receive mode, because I am in the giving mode. Here we go. So what is rejection and criticism, right? What are these words? And we've heard them probably all of our lives, but let's put some definitions to this so that we can really articulate this in our minds and get our minds crafted around it. So rejection is the act of pushing something or someone away. And then you have the word criticism, which is the expression of disapproval of someone or something based on perceived faults or mistakes. Now, rejection can be experienced from many sources, rejection and criticism, many sources: family, friends, romantic partners, bosses. And for those who might be out there, ready to run for office or considering it, listen, voters, donors, all kinds of people, right? They can be experienced, rejection and criticism, on large scale, small scale, in all ways in everyday life. And sometimes some rejections and criticisms are more painful and difficult to cope with than others. And in the midst of that confusion and pain, what we do is we grasp for answers that maybe just aren't there, right? And frequently rejection and criticism can bring about feelings of shame, sadness, or grief. But why does it bother us? Why, when we kind of sit back and think about it, why does rejection and criticism bother us so bad? So I went and I had to do some research for this, folks. I was like, man, I got to dig into this. And what I learned was that naturally, we have learned to fear rejection. That's right. According to a psychotherapist, Lori Gatliob, she's the author of Maybe You Should Talk to Someone. It's a book. She says the fear of rejection traces back to ancient history when humans relied on being in groups to survive. Catch that. Now, if you never heard this before, this is some education for us as we jump into this webinar. They relied on groups to survive. Right? Research shows that rejection is believed to have developed as an evolutionary tool to alert early humans who were at risk of being ostracized from the tribe that they belonged to. And so when they were rejected by people in the tribe, they were encouraged to modify any of the problematic behaviors so that they could avoid further rejection or ostracism. So if you were able to avoid that further rejection, then you were more likely to survive. And if you did not find rejection to be, painful, right? You may not have corrected whatever the behavior was, then you were less likely to live. Thus, we evolved to experience rejection as painful and feared. Now that's some crazy stuff. I didn't know that. I started learning about this so I could present this to you guys. The fear of rejection traces back to survival. And so what I asked myself, I said, I said, do we still need to feel that feeling today? Do we still need to feel that feeling today? And so went back and I said, yes and no. Now, that's confusing, right? Yes and no. Many of us are not necessarily living in tribes, but we do live in a society with other humans, right? And as Maslow kindly reminded us, we have a need for belongingness. So despite our best efforts, rejection triggers our inner fears and doubts about ourselves. But it doesn't mean that rejection, no matter how big or small, needs to ruin our lives. What we have to do is change our attitude towards rejection and criticism. And you can do this. So I want to give you some of that today. How do you move from rejection to resilience? Rejection and criticism to resilience. How do you take that and do something with it? So let's take a look. I'm going to give you some steps to help us do that. The first step is to accept it. All right, accept it. Though it can be painful and hurt, rejection is truly a part of life. So is criticism, right? And this is because just like you have choices, so do other people. And the reason behind a decision maker's choice to not hire us or not award us a contract or adopt our idea, vote for us, don't give money to our campaign, may have nothing to do with us at all, right? It may have nothing to do with us at all. So step one, we're going to accept whatever's coming our way. The second thing we're going to do is acknowledge our emotions. Rejection is one of life's most painful experiences. And when someone criticizes you, it falls in the same boat, especially if you're used to being successful. And I imagine many of you on this call today, on this webinar, are used to being successful. You're here, you're in a learning, professional environment, personal growth. You're probably very used to being successful. And that's hard for people, but it doesn't have to be debilitating. Acknowledge what you're feeling by writing it down or journaling and then pairing your words with your emotions. I thought that was pretty interesting. Write down what you're feeling. So when you feel rejection, when you feel criticism, write that down and then go ahead and take a look at where does that connect with my emotions? And remember, your feelings or emotions are never right or wrong. They just are. They just are. And the next step is huge. Change how you view rejection and criticism. Now, underneath the disappointment of rejection, there are lessons and growth awaiting if we have the courage to uncover them. So you think about criticism. What if we looked at criticism and turned it into feedback? So we take the words and the things that people give us and we take it and we roll it into feedback. What if we looked at the word no, that's usually connected with rejection, and we looked at it and we said that's the next opportunity? Do you see what I did there? No is N-O, and then next opportunity. If we redefine that in our mind, if we say reframe that and reshape that in our mind, no could be next opportunity for us. It could be the next thing on the horizon that's coming your way. And then the word fear is often associated with rejection. But I look at fear, and this is something I believe Zig Ziglar said. He said, you can either forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. That's hashtagable, right? You can forget everything and run, or you can face everything and rise. So if you take a moment to reframe these words in your mind and look at them a little differently, maybe, just maybe, it won't hurt as bad. And that's just a thought. It's something to take. It's a step you could take in the direction of changing how you view rejection and criticism. The last thing I'm going to give you is compassion and grace. And I think this is one of the ones that from me to you, show yourself compassion and grace and always be kind to yourself. Once we've processed the emotional and practical realities of rejection and criticism, we have to show ourselves compassion, kindness, and grace. We've committed, right, to the improvements we can legitimately make. And then we have to forgive ourselves and let go of the need to control what we can't and return to a place of gratitude, right? Be thankful for the talents and opportunities that we have, and we don't wallow. Now, this part, that to me, that touches my spirit, because I believe compassion and grace are the things that we oftentimes give to others, but we don't give to ourselves. Ensure you're doing that, especially if you're here and you're on that road to office. Folks, this is going to be huge for you because rejections and criticisms are going to come. You have to move forward, and these are going to be some ways you do it. The last thing is to withstand, recover, and grow. And this is where we're going to get in it here. We're going to get into the meat now. Withstand, recover, and grow. This, folks, is the definition of resilience. It is to withstand, recover, and grow in the face of stressors and life's changing demands. That is what resilience is, right? And it's a larger construct than just bouncing back from adversity or being happy. I mean, it's not a personality trait, meaning you either have resilience or you don't, right? You're either resilient or you're not. People can be more or less resilient depending on the situation that they are in, right? Resilience is that ability to adapt and recover after adversity or stress. And could running for office be stressful? Yeah, I've never done it. You know, I intend to. And I set my intentions on it and claim it and receive it today. But I'm telling you, I believe that there's probably some stress associated with running for office. As much as it's good and the journey is fun and exciting, there's probably some stress. And resilient people adapt and recover a little quicker, right? It's the ability to maintain performance when facing change and recovering from both major and minor stressors. That's what resilience is. So research suggests that it is the day-to-day stressors that can actually compromise our performance even more so than major stressful events. It's those little things building up, right? And you think about being on that campaign trail, you knock on a door and there's a no. You knock on another door and there's a no. You knock on another door and they don't answer. You knock on another door and there's a no. Those little things start to build up and you start to get anxious and nervous. And do I keep doing this? But resilient people, when they've developed some skills of resilience, they say, yes, I'm going to keep going, right? It's larger than just dealing with stress. They have a strong sense of well-being and purpose. And folks, when you know your purpose, you are moving through life in a different way. And when you know your purpose, you're gliding through life, you're following the path of least resistance, you're on your way and it feels good. Right? When you feel connected to your personal mission or sense of purpose, that's when your resilience is being developed. I'm going to give you one more thing on resilience, right? It's that people also have resources that help them when they need them. So whether those are friends or family members who can provide support or the ability to draw on their strengths when needed, resilient people have those resources and they know that they need them. Now, here's the best part. Check this out. Here's the good news. I can't just tell you the definition of resilience and then not take the time to share with you how to cultivate it. You know, everybody has resilience. And the good news is that you can grow your resilience. No matter where you are or what you have been through, you can learn to be more resilient. Resilience is, you got it already. Right now, if you are sitting wherever you are located, you have resilience. It's just a question of how much and how well you put it to good use in your life. So resilience doesn't mean the person doesn't feel the intensity of the event or problem. Let me share that again. It doesn't mean that you don't feel what's going on, right? Instead, it just means that you found a good way of dealing with it more quickly than others. But don't you want that? I do. I want some of that resilience. I want some of that life, and you can learn to do it. Let me tell you how. So resilience is going to, first off, it's going to increase some things and it's going to decrease some other things. And this is why it's so important. Okay. And I'm not a doctor by any means. I mean, it might sound good. Dr. Michelle Montgomery, that might happen. Maybe, right? But why does it matter? You know, people who are more resilient, who continue to practice resilient skills, they're better able to perform under pressure. They're better able to communicate and work on teams. They serve in leadership roles. They make decisions and generate new ideas. They're innovative. Listen, folks, they even sleep better. This is huge, right? They decrease stress. They decrease burnout. They decrease cynicism and pessimism. And I kid you not, resilience and being resilient will lower your blood pressure. Okay, you want more? I got it. I got you. Why do we train it? You have to train resilience, right? Just like you train your body. So you're going into some steps, you're taking some moves in your life that are huge. And just like you train your body, for those that get up and do any physical fitness, that eat right, you have to be resilient and you have to train your mind. And training resilience provides a set of tools designed to help your personal and professional performance. And there's hundreds of things that you can do to train your mind to be more resilient as you take this journey. I'm going to share one with you today. And guys, that is the skill of mindfulness. The skill of mindfulness. Let's jump into this. Now, keep in mind, I'm going to be honest with you. I usually take like an hour to teach a broad version of mindfulness. And in some cases, people can teach mindfulness for multi-day workshops. I'm going to give it to you in like 9 minutes. So here we go. But I believe it's just as important because it's something that you can start doing right now today. You can take it with you and it will help you on your journey. All right. So here's this 9 minute mindfulness lesson. Here we go. So what is that term mindfulness? Remind me, this is a skill that can help you become more resilient as you journey on your road to office. Terry says I can see the transcript. Am I sharing the wrong screen? Kathleen, can you confirm that we're seeing the right screens here? Okay, I just see the slides. We see your slide. Okay, we're going to keep pressing. So screen is mindfulness. Well, then that's good. That's where we're supposed to be. Let's do it. So mindfulness is all about performing with intention until it becomes your practice. Until it becomes your practice. I'm not sure, Terry, Kathleen, if you could talk with Terry Nathan and see maybe where she's located and what she's seeing. All right. So what is mindfulness? The basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we are doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on around us. That sounds good, right? Like that sounds good, right? The basic human ability to be fully present, aware of where we are and what we are doing, and not overly reactive or overwhelmed by what's going on. So paying attention in the present on purpose, accepting the reality of the situation and understanding what you can control and taking purposeful action. So how does mindfulness help you then? Mindfulness helps you train your mind to control where your attention goes rather than letting your mind control you. I'm going to say that again, because maybe watch this. It helps you train your mind to control where your attention goes rather than letting your mind control you. Because did you know that the mind can process, the brain, over 11 billion bits of information per second? Okay. Controlling your mind is huge. It's going to help you. This mindfulness tool is going to help you stay present and engaged, improve focus and the ability to concentrate on what is important. It's going to help you take action during stressful times, improve sleep and physical health, and it's going to help you confront and let go of unwanted psychological states like anxiety and fear. And that's what we're talking about, that rejection and that criticism. And we want to practice something that's going to allow us to move through that easier. So let me tell you how mindfulness works. You do it in 2 ways. The first way is informally, right? Informal mindfulness. Now, informal mindfulness is all about focusing on one thing in the present with your full attention. One thing in the present with your full attention. So what we want to do is turn off that autopilot, avoid distractions, and focus on the task at hand. Now, how do you do this? Think about the concept of brushing your teeth, and I'm going to put you into this informal mindfulness state. If you've ever driven to work, and you can tell me in the chat, you've ever driven to work and you got there and you think, did I close the garage door? Did I bring the dogs back in? Right? Did I lock my front door? This probably happens to many of us. Yes, all the time. Hey, Sarah Beth, absolutely. Right? Did I stop at that stop sign? That's mine. Did I stop back there at that stop sign? And the reason that happens is because we're not being present in the act. Literally this morning. Okay. Literally this morning. I see you. Right? So this happens because we're not practicing this informal mindfulness. Right? Informal mindfulness is being present right then in the moment and realizing what's going on with all of your attention. And what happens is usually we move through the day on autopilot because it's things that we've done. How did I even get to work? Wendy, come on, girl. How did I even get there? I know, right? So here's the thing. What we want to do is we want to turn off the autopilot and we want to be present in what we're doing. So I'm going to tell you, take the concept of brushing your teeth. How many of us truly grab the toothbrush? I should have brought a toothbrush and some toothpaste. Grab the toothbrush. We think about putting the toothpaste on it. And then when we start brushing our teeth, we can feel the toothpaste over our teeth, going over our teeth. We can feel the bristles. You can tell me what it tastes like, Radiant Mint, right? Whatever it is, Arctic Fresh, whatever toothpaste you use, right? You can tell me what that tastes like. You can be so present in the idea of brushing your teeth that you could describe it back to someone vividly. That's informal mindfulness. What we usually do, many of us, especially a lot of us that made it to work and don't know how we got there, Wendy, I see you, right? What happens is we're brushing our teeth and we're thinking, okay, today, lunch, I got to fix dinner. And then there's a kid over here and we grab the kid up and we're putting clothes on and we're not present in the moment. And guess what's happening when you're not present in the moment? Annie said, absolutely, and gave me a tooth. Thank you, right? When you're not present in the moment, it's passing you by. Life is passing you by and you're missing the experience. You are missing the experience of life. We have to find these moments to practice informal mindfulness so that we can experience life in its little minute details. And that way, when we go back and we start searching through our Rolodex of life, we can hunt the good stuff. We can find delight in the details. We can find the good that's been given, even in the smallest moments. And that's going to help you because when you start on this campaign trail or whatever office it is, PTA, HOA, Congress, state senator, if you want to be the president, it doesn't matter. You're going to need some good stuff to tap into. And this is going to be a way that you can have that stored in the bank. It's like money in the bank. Did you imagine waking up and delighting in the details of brushing your teeth one day because you remember how vividly and how beautiful that experience was? And you can do this in so many ways, right? Imprint these moments into your brain so that you have good stuff in the bank. All right. I want you to take that with you throughout the day. I want you to be aware of how often you are truly focused. And, you know, we say resist the temptation of technology. Right? Technology is that thing that keeps us glued from being able to connect in many cases. Now, technology is not bad. That's not what she should run or Mishan is even saying. But I am telling you that you have to ask yourself, how many times do you really think you are focused in on what you are doing? Or are you trying to do multiple things at a time? And science will tell you, research will tell you, multitasking is a thing. The brain can truly only focus on one thing at a time. So you think you're multitasking, but really you're switching back and forth very quickly. And that brain is moving, right? Oh man, Kayla, thank you for your vulnerability to share that with us, right? You think I'm really abstinent in the business of everything I'm doing, yeah. And that's probably a lot of us. And so when you start on this trail, on this road to office, this is something that you're going to have to remember. Now, the next one that I want to talk about is the formal mindfulness practices, right? And this is the one where you've probably heard people do this often. These are the ones where people go out and actually do something. They practice that helps you train your mind rather than letting your mind control you. This is that intentional work. This is that intentional work. So things like breathing, progressive muscle relaxation, I just flipped my phone around so the screen is on the table. Come on. I love you guys are great. I'm enjoying you all so much. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. These are those things: prayer and other spiritual practice, yoga, exercise, walking mindfully, right? This is the formal practices of setting your intention and then going after that thing that's going to slow your brain down so that you can grab some moments in life of peace and reset. Meditation is a huge one. A lot of people use meditation, and I'll tell you that meditation is something that research has shown, and I believe we have some links that can tell you a little bit about mindfulness and resilience. Research has shown that people who meditate, you know, they have a better start to their days. They sleep better. Again, back to those immune functionings. People who take on any type of formal mindfulness practice and set their intent to do it, they change the narrative and the script of how they operate in their days. This is huge. This is very huge. So if you've never practiced any mindfulness, you don't think you've had the time, you don't know where to find them, there's so many opportunities out there to stop and practice meditation, or just go for a walk, breathe, take deep breaths in, and then hold them, and then you release. There's so much out there, and maybe we at She Should Run can do something, if that's something that you all are interested in doing. Could do a Monday mindfulness yoga practice or something like that. I'd be happy to do them. Monday mindfulness meditation, that sounds good. Monday meditation, mindful meditation, something like with Kathleen. She's like, oh my gosh, here we go. But I think that this is something that if you start these practices now, before you start your road to office, or if you're already in that and you're going through your day-to-day and you're thinking, man, my brain, it's going. How do I slow it down? Formal mindfulness practices can do that for you. Okay. So the last part I want to give you, because we are She Should Run, and the she and She Should Run is you should run. And if you're not considered, I want to tell you a little bit about what rejection and criticism looks like on the road to office. So I went and did some information, got some information from the Barbara Lee Foundation. And they did a study, which was really great, and they talked to voters to figure out, hey, how do they feel? What do they feel about women candidates after they lose? This is truly a study, and they summed it up here, and I'm going to give you this information. But what voters said was that a woman's campaign loss does not mean the end of her political career. So I want to give you this, like, put this in your toolbox, or in your Rolodex, or wherever you want to place it. But people said, this was in the voters' word, this was a diverse demographic that they spoke to. And they said that a woman's campaign loss does not mean the end of her political career. They still rated women candidates who lost their races favorably and believe that they are qualified to run for office again. They also said that post-election messaging is the first step towards a successful next run, right? So what they want you to do is center your message on the voters and not yourself. Don't make excuses and don't place blame. Stay positive and hopeful, and that resilience is going to help you do that. And reinforce what you believe in and what and who you will continue to fight for and how you intend to do it. And then the last thing that the voters said was that the next steps are critical. So if you run for a campaign and you happen to not win, they said that you need to stay community focused. So don't give up on it. Stay engaged in the public life, right? Continue to hold political office, conduct a listening tour. I thought that was very interesting, listening tour. That means go out and just listen. I thought it was so interesting. Go out and hear what people have to say so that you can restructure your approach and go back out there again. Take a role in your political party and help other women run for office and even serve on a commission. So I want to satiate that feeling in your spirit. Like, what if I lose? Voters aren't worried about whether you lose. And we're going to talk to Miss Anita Malik, who's going to share with us some information, because guess what? Losing doesn't mean, you guys remember we just said change the narrative. Failing doesn't mean failure. We fail forward, right? We fail forward. They said you want to increase your level of success, double your failure. That's huge. If you want to increase your level of success, double your failure, because that means you're continuing to try and try again. People have failed successfully in life so many times. So this is where we start changing the narrative on some of these words. Folks, that is a huge part of going, yes, like we can do this, right? So that's a huge part of stepping into this arena. And I know that all of you have the ability, capabilities, and the strength to do it. And today, I hope we've shared with you some information that you can take with you and do just that. We're going to move into the next part of our webinar, and that is our discussion with Miss Anita Malik. I want to go ahead and bring her in to the fold and introduce her to you all. Hello, Miss Anita has joined us. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen here, and we're going to jump into a conversation. I want to just give you a little information about Miss Anita before we jump into it. Miss Anita Malik here, she's the tech executive and journalist. She's a tech executive and journalist and passionate advocate for equity and a leader in building inclusive communities. She's currently the Chief Operating Officer of legal tech company Lawlytics. And formerly, she was the Democratic nominee for Congress in Arizona's 6th District, the COO of Clear Voice, an international content technology company, Deputy Director for Business Journalism Training at Arizona State University, and the founder of and editor of East West Magazine, a nationally acclaimed print publication about the Asian American experience. Anita is the mom to 7-year-old Wade, 6-year-old Avery, and I cannot forget the fur baby, Marky. We have to throw Marky in there. So guys, if you will, in the chat, if you would just show some love and say hello to Miss Anita Malik, I'm going to stop sharing here and jump on over to this conversation. So we are so excited to have you. Thank you so much for joining us. And I want to just jump right in and give you an opportunity to share a little bit with our audience today and those who may join us later watching the recording, a little bit about yourself, who you are, and tell them your story. We're excited to hear it.
Yeah, well, thank you, Michonne. Thank you, everyone at She Should Run. I have to say, She Should Run was very critical in my first run in 2018. I was in the incubator Facebook group that was available at the time and really was such a great community and help to me. So thank you for everything you all do. And you mentioned my fur baby, so I have to start off with he snores quite loudly, but this is his office as well as mine. So if you hear him, please understand it's my dog. But yeah, a little bit about me. You know, I always, if you heard my background, have been in technology, was able to kind of rise in the ranks in technology and break through some of those barriers, was proud of those accomplishments. But always felt like I would get involved in politics at some point. I followed politics. I was a volunteer for different campaigns, but I thought it would be later, once my kids had grown up, once I had some more time to myself and wasn't kind of working that 9-to-5 difficult job in a startup. And so, you know, what happened really was 2016. And for me, it was a shift in not only the political divide we were seeing and how really separated we had become, but also in the way we saw policy that affected women and the conversation around equality and equal pay and childcare. And I have been working in the private sector, like you mentioned, and really trying in those tech environments to create the equality I saw that was missing for working moms in particular. And I realized this is such a bigger fight. And unfortunately, it has to be in policy. And that's what got me interested in possibly doing more. It wasn't running at first. You know, I didn't think, I'm going to go run for Congress. It's not something you think you're going to do one day. You know, it doesn't happen that way usually, but it really struck me. And I researched, I went into why people don't run in the district I was in. It was a traditionally conservative district held. Why weren't Democrats running? Why? You know, I didn't understand that we wouldn't challenge this seat. This was my community I had grown up in. And I went about and I talked to people and I asked the questions and I was hoping somebody would throw in their hat that I could help. I could bring my marketing background to help. And after a lot of thinking, researching, understanding, no one wanted to take the risk. We thought, okay, maybe I could do it. And my husband confirmed that my whole process was apparently me saying I could do it, but I needed that confirmation. So, you know, it took me a while. I think as women, we're thoughtful, and it took me a while, and I made a big leap. I left that role of the COO that I had aspired to be, and just jumped into this completely unknown territory and ran for Congress.
Wow. You know, and I think it is beautiful what you just shared with us, right? As you know, you rolled through the motions thinking, who can I help? Who can I help? Who can I help? And looking at it, you know, you realize, okay, but it's me. The she is you, right? You were, it was you and all along. And that's beautiful. That was beautiful. So I'm glad that you had your husband and support of your husband there to push you and say, hey, you're the one that needs to run for office. Go ahead and do this.
Yeah, I think as women, we often do that. We think, well, I probably can't do it, right? We don't value our skill sets or our experience in the same way that maybe, you know, there's research that says this, that for sometimes a man, it's very simple. Okay, you said I should run for office. Okay. Whereas women, we just go through this process, and he was just letting me go through it. But, you know, I think ultimately we all knew this is something I wanted to try and to bring what I thought was a unique perspective on campaigning and a different perspective. That I could help my own community. So
I love it. I love it. I'm going to jump into some of the questions that we had from some of our viewers that were, when they signed up for this webinar, they wrote some questions to us. And I think some of them were really, really heavy hitting. And I'd like for us to kind of get through those if we can. So I asked you, what were some of your initial fears that presented when you decided to run for office? What were some of the things out the gate? Like, oh my gosh.
I mean, there's a lot when you've never run before, and it doesn't matter what the office may be. I think the biggest fear I had was I can get up and inspire a room, and that's what I had done as a leader in business. But I'm actually really an introvert. I'm actually pretty shy. I don't like to have those group conversations. I don't care. I didn't feel like I fit the mold of a politician and what we believe that should be, what traditionally those stereotypes are, which is you walk into a room and you're kind of known and you can talk to anybody and work the room, so to speak. So that was a fear of mine, because I'm better at that individual personal conversation or giving a speech. And the in-between was very fearful for me. So I recognized that. I think that's the first step, is recognize your fears. And so what I did was I set up a series of coffees with Anita, which forced me to just put myself out there, and people, like 2 to 10 people would show up, and I would have to deal with it and grow into that. And actually, the irony and the good thing of me doing that was it helped me, but it also became a signature piece of my campaign and really helped me grow the momentum. We had a competitive primary at the time, really got my name out there in an additional way to social media and everything else that you would do. So it was good, but it was scary.
Yeah, I think it's great. And probably a lot of people on the line today and those who watch the webinar can connect with being an introvert and thinking, man, this is not for me. I don't like to go out there and speak to people. Like, that's scary. That's a scary thought. But I love that what you did, Anita, was you did something about it. So you created this Coffees with Anita to start putting yourself out there. So instead of just saying, hey, I'm an introvert, it's not for me. Hey, I'm an introvert, but what can I do? It's beautiful. And so that kind of leads me to the next question that I think was really great. And it reads like this: many women feel that they need to understand everything about government in order to run for office. And they fear being criticized or rejected because they lack experience. And let me say it like they lack experience, right? What would you say to those women?
Throw that out the door. I mean, it really isn't relevant. But if it's a natural feeling, though, it's that imposter syndrome. I went through it. I still go through it with things. And so, but ultimately what I learned was why I got into the race was what was most important. And why I got into it at the time was I felt like I was in the sandwich generation and policy wasn't supporting me as a mom of little kids and a daughter of an aging widowed parent. And so all those things were what I spoke about and what was important to me. I think of getting into an elected position in a lot of ways. I know we have electeds on this call. There's a lot to learn once you're there, but you can learn it just like any other job. The important part is if you're speaking from your heart, you're having that compassion, you're running things with grace, and you understand what you want to do policy-wise. You don't have to know how to write policy. You don't have to know everything about policy. Primarily because most of us as women in general, we are living the policy that we need. We are the people that it will best serve. And so we should be able to take our life experiences and bring that to the campaign trail and then bring that ultimately to office. And I think if you come from that place, that is where people are really connecting and responding in this day of very divisive politics. And so throw out I don't know the mechanics of government, because, when I went into journalism for the first time, I didn't know the mechanics of a newsroom, but you figure it out, you learn it. That part's different.
What you said there, and this is this is hashtagable. I don't know if that's a word, folks, but we're going to go with hashtagable. We are living the policy, right? Take this one with you, folks. If you don't know how to write policy, you've never gone to college to write policy, you don't understand policy writing, you are the policy writer. It's because you're living it day to day. That's beautiful. Oh, thank you for sharing that, Anita. That's great. That's great. Hashtagable advice, right? So I'll ask you, when you're on that road, when you're on that campaign trail and you're out there and you're trying to get people, you're out there knocking on doors, right? You're picking up the phone, you're getting hung up on. You're being met with all this resistance and negativity. How do you stay positive?
it's so easy for me to say now, but obviously when you're on the street, you're sweating, you're tired, you've been walking and knocking doors, it's harder. But I think the first thing to remember is that it's not personal. You know, go put yourself in the shoes of a voter for the first, and understand they're getting it during election season. You're hearing from everybody, you're getting texts, calls, mail, people knocking on your door. So one, it's just overwhelming, and be understanding of that so you don't take it personal, but also remember to count the wins. I think we often, and I tell my team this in business, is that we spend probably 80% of our time on the edge cases, the people that are difficult, that are mean, that are really kind of get to our core and startle us, because we think, well, I'm a nice person and I'm here to do good. So, and we forget about the rest of the people, which is usually the majority, that are really supportive and that are backing us in our community. You just can't take it personally. And you have to remember, you're not going to get everybody to like you. That was a lesson someone told me before I ever ran, which was, in politics, people love you or they hate you. I still believe I can find the in between, but it's harder, and I think if you go in at least with that framework, then you're going to take yourself out of that, misery point every time this happens, and realize that you don't need every voter to love you. You just need enough voters. You just need enough. So go at it from that approach, from a strategic approach, and try to take the emotion out of it. So to protect yourself, essentially.
Right. Yeah, I think it's great, right? You don't need every voter. We're out there trying to get them all. You don't need every hashtagable. You don't need every voter. You don't need everybody's vote. But that's great. I think that's beautiful. And I would also ask something that I thought was really interesting, and something that I think we should maybe discuss, especially with where we are in society today. The social media world, right? It exists, and criticism and rejection comes from social media, and so many, it spews out. So how do you spin that rejection in the social media world from negative to positive, and just in light of some of the things that we've probably seen on social media, and maybe even your own story or experience that you could share?
Yeah, I've been called a lot of things on social media. I've been attacked in a lot of ways, and I think most of the time, the approach I took that I think worked was just to really let that go, unless it picked up and it was becoming something that was overwhelming. If it's a singular voice here and there, to me, that's the best policy to take. And remembering that not everything, digital is of course extremely important. During the pandemic, it was our main avenue, but in normal times, it's one channel. And to realize that sometimes the negative, just like in the rest of your campaigning world, like we just talked about, the negative is louder than it really comes down to in terms of support that you have. And so I kind of really let that go when things were picking up, and maybe it was a conversation line that was negative and it was starting to take traction. Then I'd say lead the conversation there, try to take that and put it into something positive that's happening in the community. Spin that or put it into a positive point of your platform. If you're running on a piece of policy that would fix this issue, and just try to take the conversation, take it out of, this is not about me. This is about my community. This is about what I want to do and the people I want to serve. And I'm a part of this. And I think just reframing it and getting the negativity out goes a long way to people, to show your leadership. It just shows your ability to do that.
Absolutely. Hashtagable, reframe that thing. Reframe that thing. Oh, I'm loving the interpreter too. Sam, I see you. I love it. I see you. That is great. I'm going to learn how to do that hashtagable that you just did. So I want to ask one more question, then I want to give us some time to jump to some of the questions that are coming in live for us. And the last question that came from our viewers previous to jumping into the webinar was, knowing that you could win or lose, how did you prepare for either?
I don't know that I prepared for winning. I think I was positive and I was going to go forward and I was going to do this. And so I didn't really give it that much thought in terms of what that looked like when I got there, other than, knowing who the team would be and the job and that kind of technical stuff. But preparing for losing is something that I think is really important. And it's kind of goes back to what you spoke about earlier, is really being mindful, being aware. And so what an exercise I did and I've done, that someone actually encouraged me to do at the time, was to really picture what that would be like. So if I lost, what would I do next? How would I feel? What would I have in my life that it was still that positive, that value for me? It was my family, my kids. And then I kind of took that. And for me, I needed to take that, visualize it, and put it in a box over here. So I had set that intention that I'd be okay if the loss happened, but I wasn't focused on it. It needed to go kind of on the side. And then the focus was living every moment of this process, because it was a new process for me, enjoying encountering with people in the community and making those connections, and just really getting to be able to spread the message of what I wanted to do policy wise, and focused on that, and trying to be positive about that. And so that's kind of how I did it. I think if you can set that intention of I will be okay, that goes a long way.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. I love you. So, here's what the loss looks like. Here's what it feels like. Here's the box of it. And here it goes. Right. Here it goes in this corner. And now we're going to focus on doing the work, right? Focus on doing the work, and not focus on the win or the lose, but just focus on doing the work.
Exactly. Right? And what the work means to you, I think that people forget that. They just focus on you got to have a win number, right? You got to have all these strategies, but once that's set, you cannot live by that number. That's why you have a campaign manager and a team. They do that. So. Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Something to keep in mind. I want to jump to one of the questions that came in over here. And folks, if you have questions, throw them over here in the Q&A part, and we'll jump to them. One of them, I think this is kind of great, and I'm gonna go with this. And it's, how do you deal with the campaign debt, if any, especially when one loses? And kind of same question, it seems like, how does one deal with the prospect of losing and ending with campaign debt? So it seems like people want to know about the money, right? What happens there?
It's hard. I don't know that everybody's situation is extremely different in that. And depending if you're running for local office or federal office, there's different repercussions of how you have to handle that debt. But I think a lot of times, if you've built a support base that's strong because you've been out there and you've been doing the work and really connecting with people, then a lot of people are going to come to your aid. I think there's still a potential to raise money post, if you feel like, you might run again, especially. So that to me is the biggest thing to look at. The technicality of how you pay off your debt's different, but if you're running for the first time, keep it open for a little while, depending on the guidelines of, again, where you're running, but look toward what you can do in the future and how you can kind of work that debt into your next plan and that type of thing. Because, it takes more often. For most candidates, one time is not when you win. I know we probably have some on here. I actually saw a friend out in Fountain Hills, if she's still on, who won her first race. I'm glad we're glad of that. But, the debt is scary, but again, that's focusing on the loss. That's focusing on the outcome that we don't want. And if you do that, you're going to be too rigid and careful with your money and overthink it. And you really just need to be out there connecting with voters. Have a plan, have a budget, be smart about that budget. Don't just at the last minute overspend on something that you're not sure about, but also don't fixate on it. That's going to cost you votes.
Yeah, I think that is huge. And something I didn't think about was raising money post, right? And what you could do with that. So if you intend to run again, you can stay in that. You said, keep it open, keep the funnel open, right? Keep those conversations open, keep that communication with those donors. I think it's great. I want to ask one more question and then give you an opportunity to wrap us up. This one from Kate Conway here says, regarding criticism, often women face unfair criticism, attacking appearance, wardrobe, marital status, in a way male counterparts don't. Any tips for resiliency in the face of, and she said, that noise, because that is, how do you face that? Thank you, Kate.
The noise is huge, and especially, you're right, Kate, especially for women. The best thing is to, from an appearance standpoint, I'll say this. I got a great advice from somebody that runs a nonprofit and has to do a lot of fundraisers. And she said she noticed this with male donors too, and female donors, and the approach, everybody's different. But to make your life easier, if you're on the campaign trail and you're busy, define your style. And as women, we can say, just define your style and own it. There is no, this is what a politician looks like, and you have to be that way. And just be comfortable in it. People will criticize you no matter what you do. You cannot please everybody, but just make it easy on yourself, so you're not worried about that. I think, to me, that's just a great tip to have, is like, okay, here's my closet, here's my style, here's how I can go at this incredibly fast pace every day. And I don't care what people think. That, I heard all types of criticism about that. But I think women are also perceived as weaker. We're perceived as, well, you need, in my case, I had 2 little kids at the time of my first run. My children were 3 and 4. And so I got a lot of criticism, even from people of my own party, for, who's going to take care of your children? How are you going to do this? And I think, again, it's to talk to this issue of, if we want the face of politics to change and policy to improve across the board, then we have to accept that it's going to look different too. We have to support women and empower women in a different way. And so just really understanding you're going to get that criticism. People are going to want to put you in a label.
Right.
That's how our minds work. And then identify those. I mean, again, it's another exercise for yourself. Say, okay, people are going to say I'm too short. People are going to say I look young, which is, I got that a lot. And I was the same age as my competitors, but it was like, you're the young one. If that's what makes them happy, fine, But initially, to me, it was, oh, do they think I'm inexperienced, right? So do that pre-work of like, what are people going to say about me, do I think? And how do I react to those?
Yeah.
Because trust me, you can get caught off guard quickly if you don't. When someone pulls you aside in a room and makes a comment, in my case, about who will watch your kids. And so I learned to just be ready for those really triggering personal judgments, because unfortunately, that's what politics is today. So,
man. Yeah, I love, create your style and then go with it. All right. Here's my closet. This is what I wear. And thank you. Any other questions? I'll be at X store on this day if you want to follow me around. But this is what it is, right? And be proud of it. And I take this one with you guys. Look in the mirror and tell yourself I look good, and press on. There you go. I look good, and press on. Anita, thank you for being here. I want to give you one last opportunity to give these women any advice, anybody viewing this webinar in respects to running for office, rejection, resilience, any last words that you have for us.
You are in this webinar. Obviously, you've either already run or you're thinking about running. And so I think the biggest thing I would say, and that's helped me build that resilience post and to kind of do different things, is acknowledging that I did this. I mean, just running in and of itself is a huge gamble for any of us to take on. It's a huge commitment. And you've joined this sisterhood of women that have done this. And you've also now have this as part of your legacy, that you did something to help your community, help your country, help, the world really with the policy and the ideas. Even if you don't win, you're getting your message out there. In our case, we shifted the district. We made it competitive. People now have eyes on it. That's huge, because until then, a great segment of our population in this district didn't have a voice, and now they do. And so realize wins come in so many different colors and so many different variables. Just go through this process with the joy of why you want what you want to do and what you want to accomplish. And either way, you will have won.
I love it. Anita, thank you so much on behalf of the She Should Run executive staff and myself and everyone else. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us today and sharing this wonderful knowledge with the team. I'm going to jump back into our webinar and close us out here. So if you guys will join me here over at the screen. All right. So the last thing we want to do here, can everybody see? Are we good to go? Am I back on there? Is that good? Okay, great. So if you have not, please check out our She Should Run community. We are definitely excited to have everyone as a part of our community. And if you haven't been there, join us. Register for our next webinar, give us feedback. And I want to take a moment to invite my colleague, Sarah, onto the screen and to share some information with you all that you have, especially for you today, for joining our webinar. Sarah, take it away.
Yes. Hey, everyone. So I just have a small announcement. So as you know, She Should Run is a 501c3 nonprofit, meaning we're able to make our programs and content free for women like yourselves because of generous contributions from people throughout. So as a participant, if you feel like paying it forward for future women, we have an opportunity for you to join our monthly donor program called Team 250K. The beauty about monthly giving is that when you make monthly gifts, you can see the live impact your contribution is making. It helps you stay connected with all the programs and events the women like yourselves in our community are participating in, so you know where your money went. But what's unique about signing up today is that recently we finished a 4-week-long campaign to rally up new monthly donors. Part of that campaign was that if you signed up as a new Team 50K member, you received a free welcome package based on the level you signed up at. However, we decided to extend the incentive package for this webinar. So for today only, if you join Team 250K and become a monthly sustainer, you'll be able to receive a free welcome gift as shown on this slide. So if you're interested in joining, please click the link. Kathleen should have shared it in the chat for you to sign up. So thank you.
Hey, thanks so much, Sarah. Good to see you. And listen, today only, this is for you all, just for being on this webinar. You can join and support the race. We at She Should Run are here to help everyone that we can. And we need your help too. So please take the opportunity to join today, get some cool swag, and swag is always great. Paula said skipping Starbucks to donate monthly. Yes, that's what we're talking about, Paula. We appreciate that. So I just want to leave you guys with this. Thank you for joining. And here's the thing. I believe wholeheartedly that the She and She Should Run is you. You should run. Regardless of what that looks like, whether that's today, tomorrow, we're here to help you on that journey. I like to leave you with a little bit of this. Steve Harvey said his father told him a story growing up. And he said every morning on the African plain, a gazelle would wake up in the morning and think, I have to run faster than the lion to survive. Right. And then every morning on that same African plain, the lion would wake up and say, I have to run faster than the gazelle to survive. The idea and the moral of the story is whatever you do, whatever your situation is, just keep running. Right? Whatever your goals, whatever they are, just keep running after them. And whatever it is that we can do to help you, we are here to do just that. Whatever you do, folks, just keep running. I thank you so much for being here and for being present. That sums up our webinar today because that is our time, but we are always available in the She Should Run community. Come chat with us, join us. We want to see you there. Join us on all the social media sites, all the beautiful stuff. I thank you so much. Blessings and peace on your journey. Thank you.